Hello all. I am the cybersecurity manager of our bank. My team's role and responsibilities are to protect our company's assets against cyber threats, make recommendations for change to maintain protection due to any identified new method of cyber penetration. Ourbank.com promises its customers to protect their information and enjoy online banking experience. Over recent years, cyber attacks have increased, which has triggered our bank to review its current state. It has been recognized that we need to improve our security capabilities in the following areas. At enterprise level: identity lifecycle governance, access management, network access control, threat detection intelligence. At application level: data classification, secure coding guidelines, database firewalls, database access monitoring. My team rolls up to the Cybersecurity Steering Committee chaired by the CIO. Ultimately, the CEO is fully accountable for any cybersecurity threat. This steering team is made up of representatives from operations, managing directors, chief risk officer, people director, and chief security officer. All threats and associated funds are agreed by this steering committee, which meets monthly. My team enforces the NIST recommendations. The NIST is a voluntary, risk-based set of industry standards and best practices to help organizations manage cybersecurity risk. This framework assists in our decision-making about our cybersecurity. Mid-last year we were audited by ERHAN and 4 key business risks were identified: information governance, cyber resilience, suppliers, change. Currently, we sit between a 1 and 2 NIST tier. Our strategic goal is to address these top risks mentioned above and mature our security capabilities closer to NIST Level 3. We have categorized our assets into 3. Crown jewels, critical apps, critical infrastructure. Our crown jewels consist of the most valuable technology, applications, hardware or software, assets containing customer information which has financial, reputational or regulatory impacts. Critical apps, applications supporting key business functions or processes. Critical infrastructure, technology which is a single point of failure for other critical systems. The attackers can use malware, spyware to get access to customer and financial details. If this information was obtained by an attacker, it will be a very big impact on the business and to the customers, because it can cause a reputational and regulatory impact on the organization. From the customer side, their data can be used and cause detrimental impacts. Risk number 3 is associated with phishing. Phishing is a very common way of getting customer passwords and usernames. It will cause a high impact. The likelihood of an event occurring is actually very high. This is because of human error. Education, training, and awareness is very important to mitigate this risk. Risk number 4: if your website is hosted on your network and you are attacked with a DOS, then this can block your server and slow down your page response on your website. Any customer visiting your website can have a bad user experience. This risk can be mitigated by firewalls and monitoring. The last asset is customer transaction history. If this is attacked by Trojan, it will cause high impact. This Trojan takes aim at your financial accounts. It's designed to steal your account information for all the things you do online. We do also have a risk treatment plan which our matrix assets align via their rating. The plan we work to is broken into 4 parts. Except, the risk level is low. The necessary personnel is not available, the financial resources are not available, and the asset is deemed low impact. If breached, the cost of implementing the control exceeds the perceived or actual cost of a security breach. The control or process will not align with the organization's culture. Mitigate, reduce risk. Implementing, or improving quality control processes. Implementing, or improving prevention techniques. Auditing and ensuring compliance with legislation. Regular staff training. Regular maintenance schedules. Changes to procedures. Transfer, we make our vendors responsible and make sure they are fully aware of their responsibilities and their contractual obligations. Avoid, our primary aim is to avoid, stop the activity and not start in the first place. Control recommendation. The life cycle of the cybersecurity attack has 6 stages. Reconnaissance. In this step, attackers tries to collect as much information as possible about their targets to devise a robust attack. During reconnaissance, attackers may harvest a range of information from target mailing lists, presence in social media, open ports to potential vulnerabilities and target services and applications. Collected information is usually used to decide about the best tool of attack, a targeted exploit, an exploit kit or a worm to successfully penetrate into the target environment and achieve attack objectives. Weaponization. During weaponization, attackers armor their malicious payload with means of bypassing security controls in the target environment. They use a range of techniques from disguising a malware in a benign-looking payload, such as PDF, or Microsoft Office documents, to exploiting a remote access OD vulnerability to disable target machine security protections, such as data execution prevention, address space layout randomization or antiviruses. Delivery. Regardless of how sophisticated and robust it is, a weaponized malicious payload, an attacker should find a way to get it delivered to the intended targets. In the delivery step, attackers are formulating possible means, through malicious email attachments or USB flash drive, to convey their malware. Exploitation is when the rubber meets the road. This is when the armorer payload exploits a vulnerability on the target environment and executes its malicious binary payload and provides the attacker with the minimum required access to the target environment. Introduction of crimeware as a service further reduces the attacker's hassle at this stage. Installation. In this step, attackers try to further their access to more nodes, propagating the malware in the network, and install remote administration tools, that is, remote access trojans or backdoors to persist their presence on the target environment. Command and control. After being installed on the victim machines, it is time for attackers to have their virtual hands on the target keyboards. Through setting up a remote command and control, the control channels can be used to deliver attackers' commands to the malware or infiltrate data from the target environment. Actions on objectives. Finally, after successful installation and CNC establishment, it is time to perform the desired actions to meet the attack objectives. Attackers could have different objectives, from just accessing and exfiltration private information to encrypting files and denying custodians access to their data. The incident response plan is to outline the approach to addressing and managing the aftermath of a cyber attack. The stages of an incident response plan are: preparation. Write the definition of security event, incident, and breach. Identify the team that will handle the incident response. Train employees regarding roles and responsibilities in the event of a data breach. Develop incident response scenarios and mock data breach to test your incident response plan. Provide an architectural model high-level diagram of application systems data flow and data storage, including all interconnected system names and networks. Create a list of hardware inventory. Details of where log files are located with a brief description. Identification. Assess initial impact. Investigation of the incident. Create a checklist to help you address the relevant issues. Date, time, duration and location of the breach. Type of data involved in the breach. Does it include my asset data? How was the breach discovered, by who? The cause and extent of the breach. List of affected people. The risk associated with the data breach. Categorization of the threat level and impact: low, medium, high. High priority incident must be detected immediately, and low incidents within 8 hours. Containment. Contain the breach so it doesn't cause further damage to the business. Disconnect affected devices from the internet. Enable short and long-term goals. Have a redundant backup system to help restore business operations. Have credentials reviewed for legitimacy. Update security patches. Eradication. Determine the root cause and eliminate the breach. Remove any malware or virus. Harden the system. Recovery. Restore and return back affected systems and devices into your business operation. Check if systems can be returned back to production. Patch the servers. Check if the systems can be restored from a backup. Determine how long you will monitor affected systems. What tools will you use to avoid similar breaches? Lessons learned. Document the review process for this type of incident and how you intend to determine what actions need to be taken to reduce the risk of further breaches. Consider policies, team, security controls, users and capital investment. What changes have you made to the security uplift? Did you train your employees? What kind of weakness did the breach exploit? Thank you for your time, expertise and assistance have been greatly appreciated.